You're listening to Quantum Revenue Expansion with your host, Ursula Mentjes. Let's go.
Can you think back to, was there a moment when it was like, this is all happening? We have this amazing culture, the revenue's coming in, we're profitable, we're scaling.
Yeah, I mean, we still have those moments, and I'll just share. I'm hoping that someone listening will relate to this, but I was the last person that had to be convinced to basically take money from my company, because, and what I mean by that is the company was really scaling. We were growing. We moved to Texas. It took off. We were adding members like crazy. It was growing. And yet I was still making a very minimal, like just barely getting by kind of revenue. And I think part of that was because I had this loss that I talked about at the beginning of the show. And so I was so like, I really had to reprogram my mind. Like it's okay. And I remember a mentor of mine saying, Chess, you have to take care of yourself. You have to, meaning financially, there are other reasons too, but you have to financially, you're the CEO. If it's great that the company's thriving, but you got to be able to take care of yourself. I had to give myself, it sounds so foolish now, but like I had to give myself permission to make a decent salary. And, 4 or 5 years ago, I made that switch. And yes, things started to change. And I remember that moment when I was looking at our revenue and I'm like, holy smokes. Like we just made more today. This is crazy. I want you to think about this. We made more in one day than I filed my first year of being married. I filed a tax return. My gross revenue for that year, I made more in one day in Master Networks. And we've done that many times over. It's an interesting feeling. And I'll be truthful, I still sometimes struggle with feeling like we deserve that. I don't know. I just do sometimes. And I think that's part of what keeps me hungry and keeps me going. I'm not comfortable yet. I'm not comfortable with that, even though we're doing really well.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone can relate to you at some level. It's one of the conversations we have with most of our CEOs. We just had another conversation with a new CEO we're working with just last week, and she and her husband weren't paying themselves yet. And they certainly could. And there was money banked for it and money put away, but that it changes something when you start to pay yourself. And
totally.
I want to talk about like your biggest myth about money and revenue. I mean, I don't know if that was it, that it was like, okay to pay myself, but like, what about that feels uncomfortable to you?
I think, and I don't know, like, not to get all like psychological and deep on it. I just don't know. I don't know if it's because I've been without and that was the hardest time. And I feel like probably what happened, if just kind of unpacking it now, is like in 2009 and 10, similar to what you talked about, I was making a ton of money. I wasn't very smart with it, but I was making a ton of money. And it felt like overnight, I was like, whoa, what happened? And I was comfortable. And I feel like if I ever get comfortable again, that becomes the equation that I lose it, right? Like, so I'm just constantly like not comfortable with, like, truthfully, I do have a financial coach now, and not like a financial planner, but a financial coach that works with CEOs. And one of the things we talk about is I take my revenue that I bank up every year and I get rid of it and I invest it in something. I literally go down to zero. And part of that for me keeps me uncomfortable. That drive to just keep going, to go, I don't have that cash anymore. Because when it's sitting there, I get super comfortable. I think it's human nature. I'm like, I got this amount, and I've convinced myself that that's a comfort level. And so I try to get rid of it every year.
Thank you for joining us today. And if you are ready to make your next quantum leap, let's do it. Ursula invites you to join us at the 2X Intensive. Go to salescoachnow.com/apply. Don't forget to leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.